Hi, my name's Scott Colgan. I'm Vice President of Marketing at RiverMeadow Software, and today I'm going to demonstrate the bulk migration feature of RiverMeadow SaaS. Bulk migration enables a user to migrate n number of servers in a single migration plan depending upon the requirements. The first thing that I do is I would navigate to the RiverMeadow Cloud Migration SaaS portal, which I'm already at, and enter my username and password and click Sign In. Once signed in, I'm presented with the welcome screen, which enables me to do one of two things, or tells me to do one of two things. Set up a target cloud or identify sources to migrate. Let's go ahead and take a look at our target clouds. I'm going to click on Manage Target Clouds, and once there, I can see that I have 3 clouds set up to migrate to. For today's demonstration, I'm going to be migrating to my AWS VPC2 account. I can see that my appliance is already deployed, and it's ready to go. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at my sources. In what I refer to as my source library, I can see that I have 2 sources set up. I have a Linux server running in my Google Cloud account and a Windows server running in my Azure Cloud account. I want to show in today's demonstration migration at scale. So I'm going to actually add another 18 servers into my library and migrate 20 in a single project. In order to do that efficiently, I'm going to use the upload multiple sources feature. And here, this is essentially my bulk upload feature. I'm going to select Browse, and I'm going to select my AWS Move group, which I output from a discovery tool into a CSV file and import into RiverMeadow SaaS. This contains the server names, the host IP addresses, and the usernames and passwords, or the permissions, if you will. I'm going to select that and I'm going to click Open. Once I do that, I can see that I have 18 additional sources to add, and I'm going to click on OK. RiverMeadow SaaS is reading that CSV file, and it's in the process of adding those servers to my library. Now that they've been added to my library, I want to make one other point. Not only am I migrating 20 servers, so servers are migration at scale, I'm migrating a mix of Linux and Windows servers, as well as a mix of physical servers, virtual servers running on ESX, and servers running in another AWS region, as well as my Google Linux server and my Azure Windows server. So a very complex migration, if you will. I'm going to go ahead and click on this checkbox here and select all of them, and then click on Inspect and Migrate. This brings up a dialog box which allows me to select the target cloud that I'm going to migrate to, which is my AWS VPC2 account, and I'm going to click on OK, or Continue. This kicks off a service that we refer to as Attribute Collection. In Attribute Collection, RiverMeadow SaaS is going out and looking at the target and the source environments, and it's assessing the OSs that it's going to be migrating, the memory, the storage, the CPUs, and things of that nature. Now that Attribute Collection is completed, I'm going to click on Continue. And this will initiate a step before we get to our migration plan, which we refer to as pre-flight. During this step, it's going to check for things such as, is there enough memory for the migration, can the source disks be migrated, and things of that nature. So pre-flight has run, and I see that I have a number of messages that have come up. These are really tips, if you will, as opposed to warnings. They're basically telling me that I may want to take a look at the target environment to make sure that it can receive these sources that I'm bringing in. I've already done these checks. I'm comfortable with it. And I'm going to go ahead and select all of them and move on to my next step, which is creating the migration profile, or the plan, if you will. So in this next step, this is my migration plan. I have a plan name here. I can rename it. For today's purposes, I'm simply going to use the system name that it's been given. I can see that all of my sources have been added into the plan. I can select to run the migration now, or I can select to run it later, provide a future date and time. For today's purposes, we're obviously going to be migrating it today, so I'm going to select now. And then I have global settings, so I can provide settings for all of the servers in this one section here, or I could go to each one of them and customize settings for each of them. For today's purposes, I am going to apply global settings for all of them. So I'm going to select an instance type, and I'm going to go ahead and select my M3X large, and I'm going to select a security group. I'll go ahead with default here. I am going to give it a key and a value. I'm going to call it Scott Colgan. And now I am going to go ahead and I am going to kick off my migration. So we're going to perform one more pre-flight check here to make sure that everything's in order and the plan is set up correctly. Make sure that the target credentials check out, the network configuration checks out, and things of that nature. So pre-flight has run, and we can look at all of our servers here, and we can see that everything is a go. And I'm going to go ahead and select all of them, and we're going to go ahead and kick off the migration. And this takes us to our summary window where we can see all 20 of our instances or our servers are in the process of kicking off and migrating into our AWS VPC2 account. Now that all of our servers have kicked off and they're at least at step 1 or 2, let's take a look at our details to see exactly what it is RiverMeadow is doing. We can see here that on this Linux server that we're migrating, these are all the steps that RiverMeadow is automating through the process. Right now we're initiating the target, and that'll take it all the way through to completing the migration. So as you can see, with just a few button clicks, we were able to upload 20 servers or 18 servers, migrate 20 servers, and pull them through a migration plan, and kick them off and move them into our AWS VPC2 account in just a few minutes. And we can take a look at our AWS console. And we can see here that our instances are starting to come in. I have IP 10.0.0.126. And we can see over here that I have IP 10.0.0.126. And that concludes our demonstration of bulk migration with RiverMeadow SaaS. Thank you.